If you ever tried to reason with your child during a tantrum and it completely failed, and then you thought, why aren't they listening? It's not because they don't care. It's because in that moment, your child literally cannot access the part of their brain that understands you. And today I'm going to show you exactly why tantrums happen, what's going on in your child's brain, and the biggest mistakes most parents make that actually make things worse. And before we dive in, if you're struggling during your child's emotional explosions and want 5 steps that I use in therapy to respond and reduce meltdowns, I created a free guide called the Big Feelings Roadmap. It helps you know exactly what to do during your child's next explosion. You could grab it in the description below.
Stop crying.
So, what looks like defiance is actually a nervous system in distress. And your child is not choosing this. Their brain and body have shifted into a state where they feel overwhelmed, unsafe, or out of control. And when that happens, their behavior is not about pushing your buttons. It's really about trying to cope with something they don't yet have the skills to handle. To understand tantrums, we have to understand the brain. I like to break it down for kids in my playroom in 4 simple parts: the owl brain, the lion brain, and then the turtle and chameleon brain. The owl brain is the thinking brain. This is when your child is calm, they're learning, they're flexible, they're able to listen and problem solve within age appropriate range. This is what we call a regulated state. But when your child gets overwhelmed, they shift out of the owl brain and into a survival state. One of those is the lion brain. That's our fight or flight. This could look like yelling, hitting, defiance, or running away from the situation. Then is our turtle and chameleon brain. The turtle basically is our shutdown. It looks like withdrawing, going silent, freezing, or refusing to engage in something. And our chameleon blends into the back. Think of that as overwhelm and overcompliance. This might look like anxiety, clinginess, or trying to please while internally they're very dysregulated. These are all different ways that the nervous system tries to protect us. It's not misbehavior, it's protection. Another way to understand this is through a progression of brain states. Dr. Bruce Perry talks about these brain states in his continuum of arousal. And so our child moves through these states: calm, alert, alarm, fear, and terror. And here's the key to know about these states. The higher up on the scale your child goes, the less access to their thinking brain and logic that they have. There's a lot that goes into your brain state that we won't get into today, but past experiences can definitely affect how fast or slow you progress through these states. I want you to think of this like a dimmer switch on your light. Your child can be a little dysregulated, like in a state of alert or alarm, or a lot, like in a state of fear or terror. And as that intensity increases, their ability to listen, reason, and control their behavior decreases. Sometimes parents try to logic their child out of their dysregulated state. This is really where so many parents get stuck, though, because you're trying to help, but it's actually making things worse. Why? Because you're trying to talk to the owl brain, but the owl has flown away. And now you're just dealing with a lion, turtle, or chameleon. And those parts of the brain do not understand logic. They understand safety. They understand connection. They understand tone, presence, and body language. Now let's talk about this tantrum curve, because this is where you can really start to understand how to help your child regulate. Think of regulation like a cup of water when we're looking at this curve. At the bottom of the curve, your child is regulated. When the cup has just a little water in it, your child still has the majority of the glass open. So they're able to be regulated, able to cope with all the stress or water that comes in. But throughout the day, things like stressors start adding to that cup of water. Things like social challenges, transitions, feeling misunderstood, big emotions, changes in their routine. And as that water rises and rises, your child becomes more dysregulated. This is the escalation phase. You might notice changes in tone and body language and some irritability. Then we hit the peak. This is when the cup is overflowing. This is basically where you see the meltdown. And here's what I really want you to listen to here. The biggest mistake parents make is trying to intervene here at the top when our child is already overflowing with stress. But the real opportunity is here in the early escalation. Or better yet, putting tools in place here at the bottom of the curve. Because once your child is at the peak, they are not available anymore for teaching, for consequences, or for problem solving. At that point, the goal is simply to help them come back down. That might look like bringing them to a quiet room, being nearby, staying regulated yourself, reducing the stimulation, and definitely not talking too much. Because your presence, not your words, is what helps them to regulate. So what actually helps? First, let's build a regulation diet. Find the tools that help your child to keep that cup empty more times than not. This is huge. Your child needs consistent ways throughout the day to release and regulate. Movement, connection time, predictability, sensory input, or minimization of sensory input. Because regulation doesn't just happen in the moment. It's built over time. Second, catch it early. Start noticing your child's cues before the meltdown. The switch in their tone, their body language, their energy. Finally, co-regulate, don't correct. Instead of trying to fix or stop the behavior, try saying something like, I see you're upset. I'm here. Your regulated nervous system helps them regulate theirs. If you want to take it one step deeper, here's the work that needs to be done. Because your child's tantrum is also activating something within you. So when your child escalates, your nervous system often shifts into alarm states too. And when that happens, you lose access to your own owl brain. That's when you might yell, shut down, react in ways you don't feel good about later. And that's not because you're a bad parent. It's because your nervous system learned how to respond to this a long time ago. So the more you become aware of this, the more you can begin to pause, and then you can choose something different. If you want help actually changing those automatic reactions, download the Reflective Parent Pause below. It will walk you through how to slow things down in real time. And if this has helped you understand your child in a completely different way, make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment below.